This is Sky, recording live on Twitch TV, and we are going to continue on down our path of getting the socket to read from this. Come on, what's the words here? Get the data to be read from the socket, the integration test. So, what I'm going to do is I did some figuring yesterday and just found the way I want to do it. So, right now, all of our non-integration tests pass, but a couple things I want to add, actually I probably will do this after the integration, is we're going to change up the way the read happens, or the update happens, to work better with the way that it works with the socket. It's kind of weird, but what we're going to do is we're going to go back here. So this is our should read from socket, and we should be able to call this update and get bytes available. So we're just going to search are equal 3 stream bytes available. But kind of the weird thing is that we need to make sure that the socket is ready to be read. One thing that I'm not, this is old junk I was working on. One thing that's kind of weird is that we need to be able to wait here until the socket is ready to be read. So one thing we can do is we're going to make this kind of like private public function down here, protected public I guess, and we're going to do wait for read, and that should do it. And this should give us our socket. Let's see here. This will give us our length. This is int. This is going to be the length. So returns data when ready. Returns length when ready. So what we're going to do, no, that's not true. It's just going to be void. And hopefully we can get this to sort of block the thread. So there's this method called select, and in here, you pass it to an array of sockets for read, write, others. I don't know what the others is supposed to be, because we want to wait for exceptional conditions, I guess, and then a timeout. So what we can do is, since ours is non-blocking, we're actually going to have to set up a loop. So what we're going to do is going to say while true, and we're probably going to set out like a timeout later, but for now we're just going to do true. And we're going to call this select function. I'm going to just call this result. And we're going to call this selection. So socket select, and it's the socket that we're going to wait for when read is ready. So what we're going to have to do is, because our socket is a TCP socket, it's just an interface, we're going to have to cast it to our CPP TCP socket. And that's why I stuck it in this public function, so that we can override it for test. And so we're just going to need the socket. This is going to be null, null, and this is going to be 0. Because we're not waiting for write, because write is fine. So now, we're going to check to see if the result, let's see here, the result read 0 is equal to our socket. That means it's ready. That means it's ready. We're going to return. That means our socket is ready to be read. Otherwise, we're going to sys sleep for 0.1 seconds. So this should help alleviate our wait. So I'm going to try this real quick, and hopefully this will be so it works. So we're going to say wait for read, and we're going to trace here ready to be read. So it should block it, ready to be read. Alright, make sure our integration is turned on, and here we go. And this is still 275. And it says int should be net socket. Array socket, timeout float returns a read, write, and others. So that should be correct. What's the problem here? Oh, we need to wrap this, finish this off in a array. And now here. There we go. You still waiting over here? Thank you. And hopefully now we have, oh, it timed out. Okay. Perfect coincidence. So here this failed, that's fine. And says it's ready to be read. And then we have an exception blocked at read bool from socket. Okay. Ready to be read. So let's take a look here. I think it's this problem here. Trace bytes dot length. We'll just see if that's what it's unhappy about. And then we can fix that if we need to. Yeah, it doesn't even get there. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to change this up a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to input read bytes. I'm going to give it a buffer. So we can call this the byte buffer. Bytes allocate, and we can just allocate plenty of memory. Trying to decide, that's kind of a lot of memory. We could probably do 64. I'll probably allocate faster. We have to think about what that's going to be. Is there a default? There's no default. So we don't want to allocate too much memory if we're not reading too much. We don't want to allocate not enough, not be able to read enough. Kind of a fine line. So just stick with that, byte buffer. And then we want to start at position 0, and the length will be the byte buffer. Technically we can do byte buffer at length. We can also do a inline and make it 64 and be somewhat faster, but for now I'm going to stick with length because I might do something with that later. So now we'll get our length ready. Okay, that's basically how much data we're going to have. So if we read here, it says returns the actual length of read data can be smaller than the length. So going back here, so that's how much we're going to have. Now, here we have this, if the buffer is null, we can actually do bytes available, which is that, and then the length ready. Okay, and so here, I wonder if it might be easier if we just use the buffer. And I think that would be if we just use the buffer. And if the buffer is not equal to null, this is that. Buffer. So I think, okay, so we're gonna get our temp buffer, it's gonna be bytes available, plus how much length we have. So this is what we already have on our socket, or on our buffer. And then we're gonna get the length of, gonna go through the length of that. I'm gonna set buffer get I, so it's gonna be, this needs to be our old data, so that's kind of a thing, right? So maybe this needs to be our read buffer. So our read buffer is this. Actually, let's just kind of undo a bunch of this. So put our else back in there. This is going to be our read buffer. Read buffer is that. And buffer is equal to null, or is not equal to null. This will buffer up what we had, and then our length ready. Read buffer, and that should do it. And this is going to be our length ready. Okay. So we're going to have some breaking tests, but that's okay for now. See if this will build and run. Definitely going to build. So here, ready to be read. And it looks like some of it came through. Looks like so now socket is not connected. Should read from socket. Okay. Ready to be read. We're just going to do trace here. Actually, let's put a couple of traces in. So here's length ready. I think that's a good spot. So it doesn't even say, so let's say it's not, socket's not connected, which is very odd because we are reading from it. So we're just going to say trace Now I already know that. I wonder if we can do this. Input equals this. Don't worry, we're going to clean this up. Input. I wonder if that will make a difference. Socket is not connected. Not sure why. I'm going to trace the input is equal to see if that's the same. True, they are the same. Is there like a socket? Connect, listen, shut down, bind, accept, peer, host. Wait for read, siblings, fast send. It should all. Why is it saying it's not connected? And by the way, we're not going to keep this loop for the wait for read, because that's technically a blocking socket, and we don't want that. So, anyways, but the problem is that we're getting this read bytes, and it's throwing an exception saying we're not connected, which is not actually true. But what's interesting is this test is failing as well. And that's not correct. So let's client receive one. What is this happening? It's line 89. Okay, so it's asking for this. I think it's actually dying out right after this. So I'm going to commit that out for now and see if that was the problem. Cell is saying it's not connected, and this is still throwing an issue. Line 35. I wonder if we could just do this just to see. Timer.sleep for 1 second. Hold on there a second. Still saying it's not connected. I beg to differ. We just checked that. All right. Well, what is the problem here? Let's wait for 10 seconds and see what's going on. I wonder if it's just like forcing it through. Yeah, see, it's... What the hell? So that's definitely not it. What we're gonna do, well, we can't send anything because it's crashing out. I had this solved earlier, input read bytes. And there's no reason why this shouldn't be working. So I had worked this out locally, and it's probably here. So this is where we allocated it. So it's basically the same thing. Socket input read bytes. And that wasn't being a problem. This is really getting on my nerves. Because that's essentially what we just did, input read bytes, but it's not doing it. So let's revert and find out why, I guess. This is really peeling my banana. Alright, let's see what's going on here. We don't need this stuff because that's not going to work. So now we're just bypassing the entire thing. And see, it works. Works pretty darn perfect. So why is it not working when we call our update? Okay, so here, make sure this is ready. And so that one's going to block because we've done that other loop. What is the difference? I mean, we can basically just cut and paste this. We're going to have to cast this. TCP. TCP. What's the problem here? TCP, CPP socket. TCP, CPP, TCP. CPP, TCP socket. That's that. Our socket. Our sockets. Our sockets. So let's just cut that out. Now we should be able to grab this. Go to our update function. And that's that. And we'll just remove the rest of this. So it's essentially the exact same thing we just made. And let's see what's going on here. So it worked. Okay. So why is this so different? I'm blown away why this could be possibly different. So we're going to change this to 0.1. That's the only difference. Return. This is going to be all true. I want to know why this is so different than what I had. There's a read buffer. And then there's that. So now it's fine. I can't believe it. Let's try this. Yeah, it works. No, it doesn't work. So is it this stream read boolean? Check connected, so it's not connected. So that's what was throwing the exception. So this is correct-ish. We can do better, but saying that we're not connected. And that could have something to do with this. Nope. Check connected. This is really weird. I'm like blowing my mind right now. It's blowing my mind. It says false. When does connected get set back to false? Line 76 says false. Trace E. Trace. Is the socket connected? I feel like says it's blocking on the connect, and that's its exception. So we need to do if E equals sys, we're going to nip this in the bud, because I'm sick of this blocking crap. So hex IO blocking. If it's not equal to that, log the error. Otherwise, we're going to else. I'm going to assume it's connected. Else here. Hex IO error. Enum is blocked. So just back to dynamic. There we go. Make sure we're actually doing our connection. And the stream test is going to get mad at us, but that's okay. So now, assert our equal, 3 bytes available, and we should have this passing when we do this. And so one more thing we need to do is we need to stream write boolean true, and that should cause this to pass. There we go. So now we gotta get rid of line 2 of 4 because we don't want weird logging in here. There we go. So now we need to take out this here because we know that works. There. Okay. So now that we've thoroughly hacked this to pieces and now it works, we can clean it all up. So I'm going to do that for tomorrow because just because I ran out of time, and at least we have it working now. And this blocking thing was really frustrating, and so now we're getting around it. Another thing we want to do is we want to make sure that this is ready to be read. So we're probably going to create a boolean. We're not going to have this sleep in here. We'll probably just run the update loop and put that on the outside. So actually we could probably do that real cool. No, we don't. Okay, so we want to write a test around that. We don't just want to do that. So we're going to just leave it at that. We'll do a commit tomorrow when this is all cleaned up. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.